Speaking of, I'm trying to create a gender divide. What I'm actually trying to accomplish is provide evidence that a gender divide exists. The recent racist attack on Caitlin Clark has caused the WNBA to go crazy because it seems that playing well is now considered a crime in this sport. As you are all aware, Caitlin Clark has been at the heart of numerous scandals this year, whether or not she said anything. Caitlin Clark is not new to racism, whether or not she did something on the court, and that is something we have addressed. Racism is a common occurrence in women's basketball, where players are either made fun of for their race or bullied for being too good. Because she is white, this is completely unacceptable. Caitlin commended her fellow black athletes at a recent interview with The Times, who has been putting in a lot of effort to improve this league, but because she is Caitlin, everything she says with good intentions is interpreted negatively because people cherry pick her statements and create controversy around her classic style. However, experts like Stephen A. Smith and Rachel Diaz supported her because they have some sense time, and at the age of 22, she broke the season record. At just 22 years old, she broke 4 franchise records and 6 rookie marks for points and assists while playing for the Indiana Fever in the WNBA. This wasn't your typical debut season. Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA like a force of nature, breaking records left and right. She set a rookie scoring record with an incredible 769 points, averaging 19.2 points per game and 2. To top it all off, Caitlin Clark became the first rookie to record 2 triple-doubles, including an incredible 19-assist game. She also won the title of Time Athlete of the Year just before the year ended, so it would be an understatement to say that she dominated. She didn't just play basketball, she changed the playbook. Of course, greatness doesn't come without its share of dislike, and Caitlin. After a spectacular playoff performance in which she was hurt on a foul, Clark soon discovered that instead of receiving sympathy, she received a terrible email full of deadly threats and racist epithets. Nothing compares to receiving a racist email when you should be concentrating on getting better, and then there's the beautiful world of social media where the trolls have naturally chosen to target Caitlin instead of. Her fellow black players were heavily involved in the racist remarks, abusive tweets, and general terrible behavior that accompanied her historic rise on social media, which turned into a breeding ground for attacks and indignation because she is white. Because Caitlin Clark's success and dominance on the court were simply too much, she was treated like confetti at a parade. You can always rely on the classic "you look like a man" remark when some people are at a loss for words. Of course, when you are unable to affect her game, you just target her appearance. It's standard troll fare, right? There's nothing like diverting attention away from true talent by concentrating on appearance. Classic hater style, because their only concern is pulling people down, especially when they don't care about accomplishments. Possess the benefit of online anonymity, given that Caitlin acknowledged her white privilege in her interview with Time. This is even more troubling because it's a part of a larger problem within the WNBA and beyond. Although Clark has worked hard to achieve her success, she didn't hold back from admitting that her race has contributed to her prominence in the sport. Clark grew up as a major follower of women's sports. Was it basketball? Was it soccer? Whether it was volleyball, you go down the list as though I watched and loved it growing up. She urged for more funding and acknowledgement for black players' exposure, pointing out their significant contributions to the league's success. Her self-awareness of the racial dynamics at work is remarkable, and it stands in sharp contrast to how other athletes, especially black ones, have been treated, but the league players don't show her the same compassion. The fact that Clark is a white star in a league that is dominated by black players has led to some difficult discussions about privilege and race. Even other players like Angel Reese have tried to discredit her. But don't you think the league as a whole is the real problem here? Caitlin is in the spotlight, but her experience isn't the only thing at stake. Highlights a much larger issue, the cesspool of racism and toxicity that WNBA female athletes must deal with. She was a nobody and had nothing to do with it, so you could say she can't change the fact that she was born as a white person. She is a kind, respectful person and a beautiful young woman who performs at, and this is where Stephen A. Smith enters the scene with his trademark unfiltered style. Remarks in addition to discussing Caitlin's fame, he challenges it, saying that if you're white, you're smart, you're right. He stated plainly that Clark might have had a visibility advantage due to her race, but he didn't stop there. Smith didn't hold back while criticizing the NBA for its inaction in defending its players, focusing on the true issue of systematic racism in sports culture and the league's inability to confront it head-on. Smith's remarks also brought up a difficult question: has Caitlin's silence about racism experienced by her black peers been complicit? Some fans contend that she ought to speak out more, especially given the platform her fame offers, while others feel it's unreasonable to expect her to bear that burden on top of everything else. Rachel Dieta and other sports experts advocate for Caitlin Rachel. Rachel pointed out that Caitlin, like herself, understands her privilege in this space and isn't trying to ignore it. But there are a lot of really good fans, whether they've been fans for more than 20 years or are new to our community. She didn't hesitate to support Caitlin Clark when the racial hate started to surface. In fact, she put it all out there, emphasizing that as women, we have to support one another no matter what. League, I believe that in spite of all the hate directed at Caitlin Clark, there was a welcome change when fans who couldn't stand it turned social media into a battlefield. However, it wasn't just for troll supporters. Many of them were incensed by the vile attacks and flooded the internet with messages of love, respect, and enthusiastic supporters of Caitlin weren't afraid to demand that the league take a stronger, more united stance against racism and hold them accountable for allowing such behavior to continue for so long. As Rachel stated, the WNBA has become the fastest growing brand solely because of Caitlin. What are they doing in return? They're stuck in the middle, branding themselves as progressive but failing to create a truly safe and friendly atmosphere for all of their gamers, discussing how they're attempting to create a gender divide. But what I'm actually attempting to do is show that there is a gender divide. It's a league that still faces fundamental problems, like as players flying commercials only a season ago. Can we even be shocked that they're making mistakes on something as important as this? Clark's ascent garnered attention, but some truly unpleasant facts are being revealed by that light, such as how black athletes Alyssa Thomas hears racist crash from Indiana Fever fans during the playoffs. Natasha Cloud-Liz Cambridge has been yelling about systemic racism for years. What did they get crickets for? Then Dione Carrington receives a racist email full of threats and slurs, and the same thing is happening again. Happening with Caitlin and the turnout at the league rallies. It's funny how advancement occurs when a white player plays in the middle and soars and the Indiana Fever become the big ticket, making the WNBA suddenly pay attention. In her recent interview with The Times, Caitlin Clark also played a significant role in advancing the WNBA by making it apparent that she wasn't going to stand by and watch the racist trolls go crazy. Definitely distressing. Nobody in our league should, in my opinion, have to deal with racism, hurt, disrespect, ugly remarks, or threats. She bravely denounced the wave of bigotry and hate directed at her and her fellow WNBA players, stating that it was long overdue and that no one in our league should have to deal with racism, hurt, disrespect, ugly remarks, or threats. Caitlin isn't. Searching for someone to fight her battles for her, she could call out the idiots herself, and she's standing up loud and clear. What's even more powerful in this situation is that Caitlin goes beyond simply defending herself, pointing out that the league as a whole and its culture need to change. What comes next, then, as the WNBA cannot continue to ride the "we're trying" train forever? League activity. Though adorable declarations don't stop racist emails, the injustices or harassment, the league must have mechanisms in place to safeguard athletes, hold fans responsible, and, uphold its supposedly progressive ideals. Those aren't fans. Those individuals are trolls, and their actions are a grave disservice to the members of our league, the WNBA. And speaking of fans, they require some serious education. Are real-life issues rather than merely Twitter issues. Creating a toxic environment for players in the league. What about initiatives to expose racism and sexism in the fan base, hold individuals responsible, and make it obvious that those who are there to spread hate are not welcome? Additionally, players themselves can empower voices like Caitlin Clark and her black peers to speak out on these issues. Isn't merely pleasant, they must be the ones. In the end, it's not just about repairing the WNBA, it's about changing sports culture in general. Living this reality gives them the means, the stage, and the support to advocate for meaningful change. Accountability of humanity, these ideas aren't radical, but they're clearly lacking. And if the WNBA wants to be the progressive organization it says it is, it's time to start acting like it does.